All right, good afternoon, everybody. I am Angela Higdon. I'm with the Napa County Office of Education, and I just want to welcome you all to the sixth and final session of the Fall 2022 Bright Futures Career Speaker Series. The Bright Futures Career Speaker Series is an educational webinar series sponsored by the Napa County Office of Education, Marin County Office of Education, Napa Valley College, College of Marin, and the Workforce Alliance of the North Bay. Today's presentation is on careers in the trades. The moderator of our program today is Alfonso Martinez with the Napa County Office of Ed. And as you can see on the screen, we have 4 career presenters today. We'll have them introduce themselves in just a couple of minutes. We do want to just let you know too that this webinar is being recorded. Before we get started, I just want to review a couple of things. And my screen's not going to go forward. Hold on just a second. All right, so why offer a career speaker series? The reason that we do this is that we want to introduce you to some of our local professional experts. We want to introduce you to jobs that you may not have heard of before. And in order to do that, and ultimately what we want to do is help you to make informed decisions about the next steps on your own career path. What you can expect today is we'll go for about an hour. We're going to just in just a minute give the speakers an opportunity to introduce themselves. Then we'll go into some discussion time. We have questions that our moderator will ask, and then we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers. If you do have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll be monitoring that throughout the webinar to make sure that your questions get answered. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Alfonso to kick off our program.
All righty. Thank you very much, Angela. And once again, thank you to all of our speakers for joining us. My name is Alfonso Martinez. I'm a college and career program specialist with Napa County Office of Education, and I will be your moderator for today. So we're super excited to have you here today and sharing some wonderful insight about your careers in the trades. So let's get started with introductions. I'm going to go around the room and ask you the first question. So if you don't mind introducing yourself and tell us the organization that you work for and what is your role. Okay, so we'll get started with Ken.
Good evening, Ken Miller, business agent organizer for Ironworkers Local 378.
Thank you. And we'll jump over to Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa Magnus. I am the NorCal Carpenters Apprenticeship Coordinator at the Fairfield office.
Thank you. And next, Doug.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Doug Lemoyne with Laborers Local 324.
Thank you. And then lastly, Jeremy. You might be muted, Jeremy. Can you hear us? Hello, Jeremy. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. We can, yeah. So I'll see if there's anything on the back end. In the meantime, I guess we can just move forward.
Okay, perfect. All right, so thank you for those introductions, and we'll go ahead and jump on to our next question. So the next question is, when did you decide you wanted to work in the trades, and how long have you worked in the industry? And we'll get started with Ken.
Could you repeat the question, please?
No worries. When did you decide you wanted to work in the trades? And how long have you worked in the industry?
It was 1994. I was 29 years old. I had met a girl. I wanted to get married, have a family, and I was working 2 part-time jobs and not being able to afford anything. That's when I realized I needed to make a change. And when I started, I didn't know what an ironworker was. One of my dad's friends said, "Hey, you should go get in the Ironworkers Union." And I said, "That's great. What's an ironworker?" I had no idea. And he said, "Don't worry about it. They have an apprenticeship program. They'll teach you. So here I am 30 years later, and it's been a very good career for me and my family. And yes, I married that girl.
All right, nice. Thank you for that, Ken. Melissa, when did you decide you wanted to work in the trades, and how long have you worked in the industry?
So I knew when I was, well, young in high school, I knew I wanted to work with my hands. I didn't I paid good attention. I got okay grades. I wasn't like the top of the class, but I knew that I wanted to be more physically active. I didn't want to sit in a classroom for a long time. So at 19, I decided to do a pre-apprenticeship at one of the community colleges and see what that was about. I had all the same misconceptions about the trades, like, oh, carpenters, those are people that lay carpet and put carpet in houses, and was like, no, that's not what it is. These are the people that build the houses, that do the framing, build the roofs, do the stairs, from dirt to doorknobs. That is what the carpenters were. So after that program, someone from the union came in and gave the spiel like, hey, the union will take care of you. Everybody wants to flip houses, but this could be a long-term kind of thing. And it kind of sold me on it. Like I said, I was 19. I didn't have the perfect track record from that point, but here I am 16 years later. And now I am an apprenticeship coordinator at the training center. So
That's excellent. Thank you for that. All righty. Doug, same question. When did you decide you wanted to work in the trades, and how long have you been in the industry?
So for me, similar to what Melissa just said, college was not going to be for me. Just wasn't a path that I felt I was going to go down. But I did enjoy working with my hands. So right out of high school, I'm a third generation laborer. So I was kind of steered towards joining the laborers as a young man. And 18 years later, I'm a business agent for the local and the 8 counties we cover. So school's not for everybody. I was one of those people. And it's been rewarded year over year ever since for me.
Righty. Thank you, Doug, for that. And I'm glad you said that. School's not for everyone. There's opportunities for us all. Thank you. All righty. Before I proceed, I just want to check on Jeremy and see if he can hear us. Jeremy, can you hear us? You might be muted. So go ahead and unmute if you can hear me.
I think he said he was having some microphone issues, I think.
Okay, no worries. I'll go ahead and proceed. Okay. So the next question. Why do you do what you do? And what motivates you to go to work every day? All right, so this is a more personal question. So what gets you up in the morning to go to work? And we'll start with Melissa.
So when it came to when I was in the trades, because I've been on apprenticeship now for about 5 years, so the 10 years I was actually in the field, I liked the working with my hands and being something different every day. So there wasn't like the same thing over and over and over again. So that was what kind of got me up and going. It was rough. I love to sleep in, but in the trades, you are up at 3 in the morning. So nobody really understands my schedule because like on the weekends, I can sleep till like 10 a.m. But on the weekdays, I'm up at 3 in the morning. So that it was one of the harder parts of it. But the reason I got up was because I enjoyed the social part of our job. When you're in the trades, you're with a whole different bunch of people all the time. So you don't get stuck with the same people a lot. So it's like a new adventure every day that you go. You're going, meet new people, you're working with your hands. And that was the fun part. The reason I moved over into apprenticeship was because I really liked the mentorship. Once, I was done with my apprenticeship, was a lead in the field for a little bit, I was ready to really mentor and kind of get more women in the field. You just don't see a lot. I was on a lot of big projects. I did structural concrete, and I was like 1 out of 200 people with their bags on. I'm not saying that there's not a lot of women in the office, but there's not a lot of women wearing their bags in the field. And anybody who's in the trades knows that. Unfortunately, there was a lot of laborers, which is good, but there wasn't a lot of carpenter women on my job site. I was the only one. And I felt like it was time to kind of make a difference, make a change. And I was young enough to say I can put a good 10 to 15 years into the mentorship part of it and try to get more women over into the NorCal Carpenters.
Appreciate it. And thank you for being here, representing. So thank you for that. All righty. So Doug, same question to you. Why do you do what you do, and what motivates you to go to work every morning?
Yeah, so for me, I was never really one to sit around. I had to stay busy, obviously not going to school, and being in the trades young. There's a sense of accomplishment, whether it's after 3 months or 3 years, looking back at the end of a project, and kind of admiring your involvement in the project, whatever that might be. And I think every trade shares that value, regardless of what you do. Similar to what some people have said, what motivates me, I would say, is also to mentor people, just as people did for me when I was first coming through the trade. There's days where, as a representative of the union, we represent multiple collective bargaining agreements, dispatching, job site visits. So there's never a dull moment, and nothing is ever the same. And I think that is probably one of the most rewarding parts of it, is there's new challenges all the time, whether they're good or bad.
Excellent. Thank you. All righty. And Ken, you're up next. Why do you do what you do, and what motivates you to go to work every single morning?
I really enjoy what I do. When I first started working as an apprentice, and then later as a journeyman and a foreman and a superintendent, we get to change the skyline of cities. All the construction trades do that. At the end of the day, you step back and look what you've done that day. We're building new bridges, hospitals, schools, power plants, high-rise buildings. We're changing skylines, and it's a great feeling of accomplishment. We take a lot of pride in what we do. And now, working in the office as an organizer, I get to help other people get into the trade and watch them get trained up and succeed. It's very gratifying to see the next generation step up and start doing some pretty good-sized projects and being very successful at them.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All righty. We're going to do a checkup here with Jeremy. Angela, is he in the call?
Well, he's on it. Well, you know what? He was going to log out and log back in. I don't see him back on yet.
Okay, no worries. Just let me know when I can start asking him some questions here.
Okay.
All right. So, fourth question. What are the key personality traits and skills required for success in the trades? All right. And Ken, since we left, we finished with you, we'll start with you here. So what are some of those traits required in the trades?
Some of the most important traits are being on time, being responsible. I don't have any contractors that want to hire anybody part-time. And when you don't show up, you put a contractor in a bind because they doesn't have enough people now. So you being on time and being there every day. Those are the two most important things. And then as far as the skills, that's why we all have apprenticeship programs. We'll teach you the skills. The more you do them, the better you're going to get. It just takes time. But be there at work every day and be there on time.
Yeah, thank you for that. All righty, Melissa, you're next. What are the key personality traits or skills required for success in the trades?
I would say the same things that Ken said, but I'll add determination. That's a big one. You have to be determined in this field because you're going to get knocked down a lot of times, and you have to be able to get back up and say, hey, I'm worth it, and I'm going to do this. No matter how many people tell you no, you're going to be able to do it. So determination is a big one. And then being teachable. That's a huge thing. I definitely would say that that's probably one of the number one things. If you can't take criticism and can't learn from something or think you know everything, then that's a really, you're not going to be very successful in the trades, whether any level of succession, foreman, super, all the way up to organizer or apprenticeship. We're always learning, especially in the trades. Things are always changing. It doesn't stay the same for very long with building technology, and that's in any craft.
All right, thank you. All right, Doug, same question. What are the key personality traits and skills required for success in the trades?
Yeah, so I'll echo what Ken and Melissa said. In addition to that, the majority of the work that we do is very physical, and you kind of have to embrace that day one. The old saying, "Blood, sweat, and tears" is a real thing in the trades, and obviously, being timely. The one thing that I'll add is we live in a day and an age where, to some, drug testing might not be a problem, but it is a must in the trades with the contractors we deal with. So, I always tell and try to love on new apprentices as they come through: reliable transportation, being responsible, timely, and you're making great money learning a trade as you progress through an apprenticeship program. And with that should come, some type of responsibility. I mean, it's not going to be handed to you. You will earn it. So those are kind of the hot button topics that I cover with apprentices as they come through.
Thank you very much, Doug, for your response. And if it's okay, we'll continue with you for the next question. What is the level of education required in your career?
Is that one for me too?
Yep, if that's okay.
Okay, so for the laborers, there is no finished grade level of education that you have to complete. I know other trades do have it, but for us, it's the minimum age of 18, reliable transportation, and a government ID. Those are the qualifications to apply for our apprenticeship program.
Thank you. Melissa, what level of education is required for your career?
So to get into the carpenters, you have to be a high school graduate. You can be 17 and a half with parents' permission. And of course, some type of ID. And we always insist on transportation because in the trades, traveling is a big thing. It's not required, but it's definitely talked about.
Excellent, thank you. And lastly, Ken, what level of education is required for your career?
If somebody goes to our apprenticeship office and says they want to sign up, the ladies there will say you have to have a high school diploma or a GED. You have to be 18 years old. You have to have a driver's license and a social security card. If somebody doesn't meet those requirements, they send them to see me, because my job as an organizer is to get around as many of those obstacles as I can. I don't feel it's right to discriminate against somebody that dropped out of high school. Normally when somebody drops out is because they have to go to work to help provide for the family. That's the only reason I go to work, provide for my family. So I'm not going to discriminate against anybody for that. We have two different avenues that we can pursue to help that person get into the Ironworkers Union. 18, can't get around that one. Got to be 18. A driver's license, I don't care how you get to work as long as you're there every day on time. If your mom drops you off, if you ride your skateboard, if you get an Uber, I don't care. Be there on time. You have to have some kind of state issued picture ID, and you have to have something that says you're allowed to work in California. Other than that, it's wide open.
Yeah, so transportation is key, right?
Yes.
All righty, thank you for that. Okay, we're gonna shift gears a little bit. What is one of the most memorable days you've had in your occupation, and how has that influenced your work, right? So, Ken, is it okay if we start with you?
Sure. One of the most memorable days I've had, I get a call from a member's wife that I had organized in about 3 or 4 months previously. And she's on the verge of tears because she's so happy because they can be able to afford an apartment. And she's pregnant now, but she knows she has medical. So when it's time to do prenatal, she can do that. And if anything happens, they have medical coverage and they've got insurance. And she was ecstatic about it. And it's, that little call that I got from her is like, that re-energized me. I'm ready to go help out as many people as I can from that one call. And, every once in a while that happens and it keeps me motivated.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Ken. All righty. Melissa, same question. So what is one of the most memorable days in your career and how has that influenced your work, your day-to-day life?
Well, actually, Ken kind of touched on the topic a little bit. Surprisingly, I was surprised when he said it. I remember being 5 months pregnant and finally telling my crew on the job site that I was pregnant and their reaction. And the sheer look of everybody not realizing, being the only female on this big structural concrete project, that there was a woman on here that was 5 months pregnant this whole time and they had no idea. And that we were still able to wear my bags. I was still able to climb the rebar. I was still able to do all the stuff that, they automatically in their brains are thinking, oh, this is a woman, she's pregnant, we have to be very careful around her. So that was one of my most memorable moments and thinking, and that kind of where it led me into wanting to get into the apprenticeship aspect or work in the office and be like, hey, you can do this. You don't have to start your career late. You can be pregnant. You don't have to disclose it the entire time if you don't want to. It doesn't make you handicapped. You just have to have a group of people on the job site willing to understand, everybody's human and life happens. So,
Hey, thank you for sharing. That is awesome. All right. Next, Doug, can you share one of your most memorable days in your occupation?
Sure. Well, Ken kind of stole the thunder, it sounds like, from all of us, but that's fun. Similar to what Ken said, I was also, party to a lot of different phone calls from our members. First time home buyers, people, getting a car that they've never been able to afford, or, because of medical and the benefits through the trades and the benefits that are offered. Even surgery that was unattainable for a guy that I got to know over the years was pretty memorable. But I was lucky enough to watch an apprentice go through his complete apprenticeship program, spend a couple years in the field as a journeyman, and then promote to kind of a assistant superintendent and then superintendent over the years. And that's always stuck with me because to this day, when the company makes a manpower request, it's coming from a young man that was an apprentice that I started with.
Mhm.
And now he's, upper management for a company running work. So pretty impressive.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. Our next question. It's about money. So, people always want to know, what is the salary range for people in your work? Okay. So, Ken, we'll bring it back to you if that's okay.
Salary is very confusing because we work hourly. So when you say, oh, what's the salary look like? I'll tell you, a brand new apprentice is going to start off at $29.39 an hour plus the benefits. What you make in a year really depends on you. If you're a good worker, you're always going to be working. You're going to make a bunch of money. It's not uncommon for a brand new apprentice that is a hustler to make $60,000 in their first year. That can happen. But if you're somebody that sits back on their laurels and you expect other people to do the work for you, you're going to get laid off a lot. You're going to spend a lot of time at the union hall going, I know that job's still going, but how come they laid me off? Those other apprentices are making money, but I'm not. So it's a starting wage, and your salary is really up to you. Hard workers, they make good money.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Melissa, same question. What's the salary range in your work?
It's pretty fluid. Same thing. It's always with the trade. It's honestly how much you want to work. It's part of the reason that it appealed me to the trades. Under the carpenters, we have like 11 different crafts: millwrights, pile drivers, acoustical, all that. Everything's a little bit different. My millwrights, for instance, they work like 6 months out of the year and don't work 6 months out of the year because they do a lot of 10s and 12s in refineries and, turbines and stuff. So in the trades, you determine what you want to do. Now, like you said, starting wage, fluctuates on the area. I cover all Northern California. So it's anywhere between, depending on your craft, just the general carpenter is about $30 an hour and up, depending on the area that you're going into, between, because we're from the border of Bakersfield all the way up to the Oregon border is kind of where we cover for Northern California. So we have 5 different pay scales. The general carpenter apprentice coming in first year, 18 years old, works 40 hours a week the whole time, doesn't have any time, doesn't work crazy overtime, could be about 80,000 a year if they just hardcore just worked. Have I heard apprentices? I had a 5th period apprentice tell me that he worked a lot of overtime during COVID because nobody else would take the hours, and he hit 95,000. So and up, he said he could have made more. So it honestly just depends on, you have to have a very good support system, especially if you have family. But that's part of the reason I got in young. It was like I was ready to work. I wanted to be on my own schedule. The more you work, the more you earn.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Thank you for that, Melissa. All right. Next up, Doug, what is the salary range for people in your work?
Yeah, so just to echo what Ken and Melissa said, I would say for the laborers, 50,000, 40 hours a week would kind of be the floor, doing quick math. And obviously, as you progress through our apprenticeship program, you take your classes and you complete certain hours, you do progress money-wise as well. But there is no top. I can tell you that, because there's some laborers that are very, very successful right now working in the field, making big money. So I know that's vague, but it's the real truth.
Righty. Thank you, Doug. Okay. Next question. How important is collaboration and or teamwork in your work? Okay. And Doug, if it's okay, we'll start with you.
I would say it's probably one of the most important, whether it's collaboration on a job site, in life in general, the more you can communicate and collaborate and work together, the better off you're going to be. If you needed a more specific example, it could be on a job site, or it could be exactly what we're doing here, right? We're all speaking to a group of folks, trying to, get a message out there, get information out there. But there's other discussions that we've had with this very same group that have got us here. So it's effective and very important.
Thank you for that. All right. Next, Melissa, same question. How important is collaboration and teamwork?
It's probably the most important thing. Like I said, our jobs are very social. Being social, depending on a team, the collaboration, you can't not get along with every different craft. I know from personal experience, we work hand in hand with both iron workers, laborers. Under the carpenters, we have 11 different crafts under that alone. It's, carpenters, drywall carpenters, pile driver carpenters, all of those things. If we didn't work well together, we couldn't get the job finished, like the guys have stated, changing skylines, it's all hand in hand. the more you don't collaborate, the longer the project takes. The better you work together, the faster, the more money everybody makes, the happier everyone is. You know, you're always working yourself out of a job. The faster you're working yourself out of a job, you'll probably be on another job, to be honest with you. But a lot of people get scared of that. They think, oh, I need to slow down and not work so hard so that I don't. That's the opposite. The trades, you're working yourself out of the job. The better you do doing that job and working yourself out and collaborating and being a team, the more they're going to want to put you on the next project. They're going to call you and say, hey, you know, me and my buddies that I started with, we call each other the final 15. We all still have our numbers in our pocket. I go visit them on the job. You know, we call each other. There's a huge bridge going on, the American River Bridge right down the street that Granite's doing. They're all there right now. They just called me last week and we're like, hey, final 15's back together. What's going on? I'm like, sorry guys, I'm in apprenticeship now. I think about it, but I'm trying to make a difference here. So, you know, and that's all from collaborating and the teamwork that you build. You spend more time with your work family than your own family sometimes, especially in the trades. And that's just a reality of it. Spend more time with the people at work than I do with my own children. You know, sometimes it's sad, but at the same time, you have to like the people. They have to be a good team for you to want to stay, right? Everybody's heard it's the team and the bosses that make you quit the job. So, you know,
Right? They say teamwork makes the dream work. So, right. So we're always helping each other out, and yeah, cool. Ken, same question. How important is teamwork and collaboration in your field?
You said it all. Teamwork makes the dream work. You can't work together, you'll be laid off quickly. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken. All right. Let's move on to our next question here. And Ken, if it's okay, we'll get started with you. The question is, what do you think is the best thing about working in this industry? And there's two parts to this question, right? So the first thing, you know, what's the best thing in this industry? And then after that, what is the most challenging?
I think the best thing is you don't have to go to the same office every day, day in and day out. I know before I got in the ironworkers, I worked in an office environment, and it wasn't fun. Didn't like it. There's people there I liked, people there I didn't like. And it seems like it's always the people that I didn't like, that didn't like me, that would always make life harder than it needed to be. When you know, once I got into the trades, I realized if I'm working for somebody and I don't like them, I'll just tell them, hey, I don't like you. Transfer me to a different crew or lay me off. I'll go get another job because I know I'm a good worker. I'm not going to have a problem getting another job. And then one of the worst things is working with people. It's like the best and the worst. You know, you like the final 15. Melissa's got a great crew, but you know, when you're on a crew that doesn't have the final 15 and they, you know, talk down to you, or they don't realize your potential, or you're not part of their clique, so you get all the dirty jobs, the jobs that nobody else wants. It's, you know, it's a catch-22. There's always good people and bad people. You're going to get a mix of both. Just trying to make the best of it as best you can.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ken. All righty, Doug, same question. So first part, what is the best thing about working in your industry? And then after that, what is the most challenging?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, look, right out of high school, I wanted to work with my hands, and I've stuck with that for 18 years now. So I think I'm grateful every single day that the choices I made have, you know, continued to be rewarding and help my family, right? Not only financially benefits. At 18, I didn't know what I thought retirement would look like, but fast forward 18 years, I needed the structure with a pension, annuity, some of our benefits put away for me because I wasn't going to do it. There's no way. So I'm grateful for that. I would say probably some of the most challenging parts to this day after 18 years, like Ken said, are people, personalities, and you know, there's ups and downs to all of it, but Bay Area traffic's not always the greatest either. Let's be honest.
Right.
If we have to commute, you know, that's another daily challenge. Everyone drives like their hair's on fire, but all in all, I think the good outweighs the bad, but there are certainly challenges, and I think that's with anyone attending this today.
That is right. I actually saw a post yesterday that said, one of the worst things in California at the moment, traffic. So I have to agree with you on that one. All righty, Melissa, same question. First part is, what is the best thing about working in your industry? And then second, what is the most challenging?
Well, they stole my thunder. It is definitely people are the best thing, the social aspect. It took a while to get to the final 15. Like I said, I was in the trades for 10 years till I got to that group. Different job sites, different people, different personalities till you find that niche. It's like finding your family, right? Yeah, you keep working until you get that good group that you can. But if you have the perseverance, you just keep going till you finally get there, and then it just kind of clicks. The different projects were like, making history. I worked on the Folsom Spillway with the Army Corps of Engineers, and getting to do those like life-changing projects that, I still get to go on YouTube and see some of the stuff. I saw pictures from us on those projects, the long hours, the different stuff, but the good outweighed the bad. And the most challenging, like I said, in the trades, your schedule is never really set. So daycare and all of those things are crazy if you don't kind of set limits and boundaries and kind of take care of that stuff. You have to be organized, especially if you want to be a parent in the trades. It's doable. You have to want to do it, and you have to find the right people in your life to kind of help you do it without excuses. Like I said, I have 2 small children, and I was helping raise my sister's kids, so it was a lot. It was, do I work overtime? Do I not work overtime? It's not required of you in the union, but how much overtime do you want to turn down until you don't get offered it anymore? So those things were great things in the trade, right? Because everybody loves overtime. But at the same time, it could be hard to do the overtime that you want. So the most challenging was the schedule, because you don't hear until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, hey, who can stay a couple extra hours today? We got a pour tomorrow and we need to finish this. It didn't get done in time. And, making that quick last minute phone call, like, you always have that person on backup. Hey, can you keep them for another couple hours for me so that I can get this in? Because I just always had them expecting it. Like if I got off on time, it was, yeah, I'm early today. And then of course, travel. I have friends back east that have left California. Like I said, I'm young. I got in young. A lot of people that I knew that I went to high school with decided to leave California and go live other places. And they tell me the commute we just do from Sacramento to the Bay is what they do going through 3 different states in the
Wow.
East. And our state is so big. We have the population of multiple states in one. So even though it drains us going from Sac to the Bay Area, to them, it's like driving 3 states. So it's like a mind blow to them when they come here. They're like, oh my gosh, how do you guys do this? Like, it's crazy. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, travel's a big one. And if you can't do it, that's going to be hard for you in the trades, because work is not always right next to your house. It's just the reality of it. I wish there was a project 20 minutes from my house for the rest of my life, but it doesn't.
They say to get used to traffic, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All righty. Thank you, Melissa. All right. So our next question, and I know, Melissa, you were touching up on this a little bit here. How do you balance your own personal life with work? And if it's okay to get started with you.
Sometimes it's hard. I'm a millennial, and everybody's heard the different generational ideas on how to parent and how this person should do something versus how my parents did this, latchkey kids, all that kind of stuff. Work-life balance is way different in like mine and my friends use. I want to be around for a lot of things, and a lot of the trades men and women before me always make the comment, I was not around enough. I couldn't do this enough because I was always working. I was always this, I was always that. And so that has been a challenge where you have to have a good support system. In the trades, the more support you have from family members, the easier your life is going to be. So you don't burn bridges, just like on a job site, you don't burn bridges, on the home life, because I have a couple phone calls right now. I could call one of my sisters and one of my best friends and be like, hey, can you pick the kids up? I'm going to be late. I'm going to be that. And they'll drop anything to go do that. Right. And that's what you need to get really successful in the trades. And so even just starting young, you want to remember that, I scratch your back, you scratch my back later on. So there was a lot of things when I didn't have children. I was like, oh yeah, I can pick your kids up. Oh yeah, I can do this for you, because now I have children and it's like, hey, can I phone a friend? Can I call in a favor? And those things, they come back full circle, and I'm very about work-life balance. I'm a Girl Scout troop leader. I try to get involved in the community as much as I can. I've coached T-ball before. I haven't been able to do it in the last few years because of COVID and everything. I'm still doing Girl Scouts. COVID didn't shut that part down, but during COVID, it was really hard to coach any teams, but you have to have a team that understands the work-life balance too. And unfortunately, I tell some of the guys where their kids are off in college, like, you get to close tonight because I have this I really need to do. Give me about 10 years and I will be the one closing for you. Don't worry. So, you have to find that team that understands, and the different diversity there.
All right. It's back to that, teamwork as an asset, right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Melissa. All righty. Doug, same question. How do you balance your own personal life with work?
Yeah, Melissa hit the nail on the head for me, with a good support system at home. Because not everyone understands, the responsibility and stress that comes with, some of the things that we do day in, day out, and having family and loved ones around you that understand you're committed, you're dedicated to your job, to the industry, to my position in the union. I don't get as many questions as I used to. When I was younger, it cost me a few relationships, but we've all worked through those and find a way. So it is checks and balances for me. Even after, 18, almost 19 years, I still have to make time for family and loved ones that, if I don't, I'll just constantly, work, phone, computer, work, and I have to catch myself and hit the stop button from time to time, even now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Doug. All right. Next up, Ken, same question.
Alfonso,
Yes.
I think Jeremy may have solved his sound issues. Jeremy, can you hear us now?
See, I think I might be on mute.
Yes. Hello, Jeremy. Can you hear us?
Jeremy, can you hear us?
You're muted.
Can you unmute?
There we go.
Oh, there he is.
All right.
I had a couple of PC issues there, and then we couldn't find the mute button at the last second. But we can now.
Yeah, you're on.
Excellent.
Welcome, Jeremy. And if it's okay, I'll finish up with Ken on this next question, and then we'll come back to you if that's okay, and we'll catch up.
So balancing home life and work. When I grew up, my parents both worked. So after school sports, never had a parent there. Scouting, never had a parent there. When I wanted to start a family, it was important to me that if I'm going to have a family, I'm going to be there for my family. I don't work to live. I live so I can. No, I said I don't live so I can work. I work so I can live.
Mm-hmm.
So my family is always my most important priority, unless my wife and I are fighting, and then I just work all the overtime I can. There's been points in my career I've worked lots of overtime, but when my son came along, like Melissa said, she was a scout leader. Since my son was in second grade, I was a scout leader. And I did that for 12 years until he became an Eagle Scout and graduated high school and all that good stuff. I've missed out on a lot of good jobs. I've been laid off on a lot of good jobs because overtime is not mandatory, but if it's a time sensitive project, it still needs to get done on an expedited time frame. If you can't do it, they're going to get somebody else that can. And, I'm living proof. I missed out on a lot of good jobs, but I was there for my son's soccer game and the baseball games and scouting. And I watched my son grow up live and in person, not from pictures. And that was important to me. And, when I would have a supervisor or a foreman or something that said, hey, I need you here. I need this, I need that. I said, hey, I understand your needs, but I need to go see my son. Peace out.
Yeah.
And, face the consequences later. Like I said earlier, I wasn't afraid of getting laid off because I was looking for a job when I got that job. So I'll just get another job. That's what the union hall's for. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. Get laid off, go to the union hall, sign the out of work list, and you get another job. Easy peasy.
That's right. And that's something that we tell our students. Once you have a skill set, right, you can use that for the rest of your life. So that is important. Thank you. All right. Jeremy, I'm not going to ask you all the questions here, but if you don't mind introducing yourself, telling us what organization you work for and what is your role, and then maybe I'll ask you one or two questions here. Okay.
Oh, well, please excuse my tardiness. I was having some PC issues, but thank you guys for having me. My name is Jeremy Pecanum, and I'm with IBW Local 180, which stands for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 180, or the Electricians Union. We cover Napa, Solano County, and I think that is the extent of what you asked me. I don't want to keep going.
No worries, no worries. So I'll ask you the same question I asked everyone else. How do you balance work and your personal life?
Oh, wow. That is a good question. Sounds like I must have missed a lot of good questions. Flexibility, one of the major benefits of being in the union trades, of course, I'm sure everyone's been speaking about it, is the flexibility. Once you attain your journeyman card, as Ken was saying, you have a bit of freedom, a bit of flexibility, a little bit of reassurance in your life. So you can make the time, you can balance it, sleep well at nights, knowing you have that union card, you have your skills, you have your 5 years of training, your 8,000 hours in the field, in the classroom. So if you need to make the tough decisions in order to benefit your family with quality time, you can do it a little more comfortably, knowing that if this job doesn't work out or this job isn't there tomorrow because I need to spend time at home, I have this journeyman card and I will find another one. So it comes down to personal decisions, but you're able to do it with confidence and a little more freedom and flexibility if you have your education and skills.
Right. Thank you, Jeremy. And if it's okay, I'll ask you one more question just to put you here on the spotlight, if that's okay. All righty. So I'm going to ask you here, when did you decide you wanted to work in the trades and how long have you worked in the industry?
Oh, very good question. I've got 23 years in my local, a few years working non-union before that. Like many of us, you start off just grasping and gaining experience wherever you can. I made the decision fairly early on in life, and after a few high school jobs here and there, even though I'm a young man, I came from a little different environment up there in northeastern California. So at a young age, we were bucking and baling alfalfa as a high school job. You were doing things of that nature. So by 17, I was out of the house and on my own. By 18, I was fortunate enough, 18 and a half, 19, to get into the union down here. Start off for a electrical shop at 17, 18, non-union, just doing what I had to do. So for myself and my environment, which many of the people online taking this webinar may have are experiencing themselves, it was sink or swim. So at a young age, I had to start making quick decisions. And fortunately enough, I landed on my feet, took some years of work and sacrifice, but I'm here now. So at a very early age, if you're not going to college, I would strongly suggest you start thinking about that pension and dental care.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right, sounds good. It looks like we have 9 minutes left here in the call. I want to go ahead and add one more question here for our speakers. I just kind of contextualizing, the trades here, for that student or for that person who didn't pursue a higher education, right? Working in the trades, what would you tell this young person, if they're trying to find their way, into this occupation or into an industry, what would you tell them? And Ken, if it's okay, we'll start with you.
So somebody that didn't want to go to college and they're thinking about getting into the trades, what I tell them.
Mhm.
Me personally, I try to talk them out of becoming an iron worker. We have an 80% fail rate in the first 30 days because like Doug said earlier, everything we do is physically demanding. This isn't the plastic workers. We're not the aluminum workers. We're iron workers. Steel is heavy. So you're going to work hard every day. If you don't want to work hard, don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Our apprenticeship is a 4-year program. It costs us $70,000 to put one person through our 4-year program. It costs the apprentice $0. So it's just like college, except we're paying you to learn. You're not gonna pay us to teach you. So we don't want to waste our time on somebody that's not going to take it seriously. If you are serious and you want to make a career, because this isn't a job, this is a career path, then I will encourage you. But if you're just here because your parents said you got to go do something, this isn't going to be for you. Your heart really has to be in it.
Thank you. Thank you for the honesty, Ken. All righty. Doug, same question. What would you tell that person who possibly is not considering, a higher education and wants to go into the trades?
Yeah, to echo what Ken said, I would just I guess I would pose the same question on to them. What brings you to the laborers union, and is this something you're committed to, right? Because it is a process, a very rewarding process at that. But if they're unsure, physical hard labor work or physical work in general, hot when it's hot, cold when it's cold and raining, we work too. If that's something they're, and working with their hands, if that's something that they're committed to, then it would make me really happy and I would love to help them. But I catch myself oftentimes leaning, into some brand new applicant that is applying for our apprenticeship program, and I'm asking all the questions, right? Trying to help them vet themselves, as to whether this is what they really want to do, where their head's at, and make sure they understand the expectations, not only from us in the program, but also the contractors, that employ the laborers as well. So I kind of flip it. I ask a lot of questions and make them answer, some of their own concerns with whether they're committed and willing to take this on.
Thank you, Doug. All righty. Melissa, same question.
Same thing they echo. We ask a lot of the questions. The big thing with us, it is physical. The question that us as a team that tries to ask a lot when someone's really applying, this isn't a come learn how to flip your house kind of thing. This is a career. And that's one thing that a lot of people assume, like, oh, I'm 19. I'm just going to get in the union for a couple years. They're going to teach me in the apprenticeship for free how to do all these household things. And then I'm going to, go start a company or go do this or go do that. You're going to get weeded out real quick. That's not what this is. You coming in and saying, I only want to do wood framing. I only want to do doors and hardware. I only want to do this. In the trades, you have to have an open mind and you have to be ready to work and learn wherever you kind of get thrown, because in a perfect world, I would love to be a millionaire that works on this one project that does only this one thing that I really want to do. But we all know that that's not how the world works. So when you come in real young and you're making a lot more money, twice as much as a teacher, twice as much as some of the other people. I make more money than my sisters, and they went to college and got 4-year degrees and stuff, and they have college debt. I did do college at night. The cool thing about apprenticeship is you do get college credits in some of the apprenticeships, like in the carpenters, you get all your elective credits as you go through. So you are still getting college credits when you're in the apprenticeship. I did my general ed at night. Like I said, I was young and I made all my sacrifices before I had kids. I very quickly was like, I need to get myself set up because I do want kids and I want to be involved. And I had friends that had kids really young and saw all the stuff that they were like dealing with. I was like, nope, I'm going to make these smart decisions to get this stuff done. I got my AA in carpentry through American River College. I did start my bachelor's, realized I got a little bit of college debt and was like, no, I make way more money just working in the field. This is way better. I don't need to rack any more college debt. I'm going to go a lot higher without it. And you don't need it in the trades. If you're determined and a hard worker, you don't need it. But if you come in with the limited mindset, we're going to know, Ken, Doug, and Jeremy can attest to this. We're going to know right off the bat when you come in and you're like saying certain things, there's key things you say, we know you're just there to do one thing. And you have to have an open mind. If you don't have that, you're not ready, because I'm just going to cancel you. I'm the apprenticeship coordinator. I'm there for the training. I oversee your apprenticeship and your classes and all that. I'm the one that mentors you for the 4 years that you're there, depending on the craft. And I'm going to see very quickly. I got canceled. I did. I was not the perfect apprentice. I was not the perfect student. So I'm right there preaching, going, you look just like I did at 19, 20 years old. And if I got canceled, I'm going to be the one to cancel you. So why are you're making my work harder. So we try to kind of cut that right off the bat. And you have to really want this as a career. This isn't like your backup plan just to make money.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa, for that. And then lastly, Jeremy, same question there. That's going to be our last and final question. What would you tell that young person who didn't consider higher education and wants to go into the trades? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, if you're not going to pursue higher education and you are looking at a career in the trades, I would definitely look at union trades for the structure. One thing that you're going to find over a 30-year career, if there's not a set structure, a hierarchy, a chain of command, which is hard to find in the non-union world. I worked in the non-union world myself. Without a structure, you may find yourself at the end of the day more frustrated. And it couldn't turn into, after a 30-year career, you could find yourself to be a grumpy old man, a bitter person, and you want to try to avoid that in life. And one way you can do that is just by having structure. The union has a chain of command. They have ways to address your grievances. You may not always agree with the decisions, but just having that structure there can really benefit a young gentleman or lady that has 30 years ahead of them. By the time you get to the end of a 30-year career, if you don't have a structure, a chain of command, and a way to address your grievances, you might find out at the end of that 30-year career, you're one of those people yelling at kids to get off your grass. You're one of those grumpy old men that's waving his fist in the air. And very few of us are ever going to escape the economic system. There's only going to be so many tech billionaires. So if you're going to be wrapped up in this economic system for the next 30 years, you definitely want structure. So if you're going into the trades, my recommendation would be to look at the union trades. Doesn't matter which one, look at the union trades. There will be a structure and a way to address your grievances.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. And that concludes our session for today. I just want to personally thank all of our speakers for sharing your experiences, some knowledge with many of us, community members, students. And again, I just want to thank all of you. Angela, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Alfonso. And thank you to all of our panelists for being here tonight. I know it's been a long day. I know that you're up early, so we appreciate it.